Hello again, everyone. This is Chris Sciria, and that's Robert Harding. This is the Citizen Sports Weekly for December 31st, 2015. Happy New Year.
The last show.
The last show of the year.
Of 15.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and boy, I feel fine.
It is every week when we record one of these.
With apologies to REM. Hey, all right, 6 NFL games. We're going to pick the last week of the regular season. A tier, maybe, for our teams finishing up their seasons without making the playoffs again.
This is where we stop caring about football.
Yeah, I know. We're having good seasons though.
Sure.
I was 5-1 last week. Robert was 4-2. I am 59-37.
59.
59-37 overall, and Robert is 56-40. So he's 3 games back as we're heading into the last game of the regular season. So, with no further delay, let's get right to it. The first game, huge game, Robert's Buffalo Bills hosting the New York Jets. The Jets, what a great story. Mm-hmm. All they have to do is win, beat the Bills, and they're in the playoffs.
That's right.
Pretty nice season for Todd Bowles in his first campaign as the Jets head coach.
Todd Bowles, Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I would give him some votes for that. And the man he replaced, Rex Ryan, is in Buffalo, and Rex said that he's no longer going to make bold predictions about making the playoffs, that he's learned his lesson.
Praise the Lord.
So, Jets win and they're in. Bills playing for pride. I'm picking the Bills.
Wow.
I asked you a few minutes ago before we started.
Some leftover Christmas
How did the Bills do in the first game against the Jets? And you said the Bills beat the Jets. And that game was
Correct.
in New York, in the Meadowlands, right?
In prime time.
Right.
Yep.
Obviously, this game's at home. I don't know how the fans are going to be, but I think this is where Rex Ryan's knowledge, and I might have said this the first time, knowledge of the Jets roster pays off. He knows their players better than anybody. They haven't turned over that whole roster in the last year. So if the Jets can get a good pass rush on Fitzpatrick, which I think is possible, and Fitzpatrick's played very well lately, he's due for a clunker. I have a feeling this is going to be the clunker game. Mario Williams, we just heard that there's a report that the Bills are going to cut him in the offseason. This is going to be interesting to see how this defense plays. The defense could play hard, saying, hey, let's give Mario a good last game. Or they might just say, something, the heck with this, we're out of here. We're going on vacation a week early here. But I like the Bills to win this game, and it's going to be a close game. They're going to win by no more than a field goal, but I like the Bills to beat the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets. I think it'll be a fitting conclusion to the season in Buffalo that Rex loses to his former team. The Mario Williams thing is an interesting twist to this because, there's been chatter for a few weeks now that he's heading out of town, that the Bills are going to cut him loose. Mm-hmm. Big contract, of course. Yeah. So this news coming a few days before the game really, kind of makes you wonder about, where his head's going to be Monday or Sunday rather. How the defense at large is going to play with one of their, with a guy who's been around for 3 or 4 years now, heading out of town, Jerry Hughes on the other side. Yeah. What kind of performance are you going to get? And, I think the Jets coming off that game against New England, big win.
True.
I think they'll get the job done.
They got momentum. I got to admit, I thought about that.
Another thing to mention here, the Bills are banged up. No McCoy. They have Tyrod Taylor, of course, and Sammy Watkins, but on defense they're banged up. No Nigel Bradham. Kyle Williams has been out for the year. The secondary is, in rough shape with Gilmore and Darby injured, and of course Aaron Williams. So, I think the injuries have just piled up, and I think that'll hurt the Bills on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. So, next game, the New England Patriots, defending Super Bowl champions, playing at my Miami Dolphins. And this is the end, folks. This is the end for the Dan Campbell era. It's the end of a lot of things. And I will say, as a Dolphins fan, I was very embarrassed and ashamed of the performance against the Colts last week, but even more embarrassed and ashamed by a group of Dolphin players in the locker room on Wednesday when Dolphin beat reporters were interviewing Brent Grimes about tweets that his wife made about Ryan Tannehill, the Dolphins quarterback. These guys were making noise, being loud, being obnoxious, being profane. It's very unprofessional behavior. As a sports writer in a previous part of my life, who went in locker rooms and covered teams, just very, very amateurish, immature, and I'll tell you, just embarrasses a Dolphins fan. This team has basically quit for like the last month. I think once they were officially eliminated from the playoff race, they have just folded down for everybody. The Chargers, the Colts. I mean, it's just been embarrassing. So now you have New England, who has to win this game to get the first round overall number one seed in the AFC playoffs. This isn't going to be pretty. I mean, this is going to be ugly. And the Dolphins lost 36-7 to New England in October when the game actually meant something. So I said on Twitter, they're going to lose 50-14, and it's not going to be that close. I could see this game being like 35-0 at the half. I'm serious. This game is going to be ugly. You laugh. I'm telling you, I know this team. I know this team. They will lay down. You will see no effort on defense. Offensively, the play calling is going to be bubble screens, and I mean, it's going to be horrible. It is going to be a blank show, okay? I'm being family friendly here. I hate to say this though. I'm a Dolphins fan. I love my team. I want to see them win. But I know this team, and they're a bunch of quitters. They've quit in the last month, and it's embarrassing to say that, but I'm going to be honest. They've quit. So I'm going with New England. And you're going with New England. You're not picking Miami in this game. No way. Come on.
We're taking the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I thought. God, man.
had to keep you thinking.
I'd have to call a psychiatrist right now to get in here and look at your head, man. All right.
You know, I think you should call that psychiatrist in here because I picked the Dolphins to go 11-5 this season. I had them go in the playoffs.
I had them going. I think I had 9-7.
I can't believe that this team, you know, the way that they looked going into the season, I mean, they just folded. Like,
you know what it is?
tent.
It's chemistry. This team did not like playing for Joe Philbin. They wanted him gone. They fired him after the fourth game of the season. They get Dan Campbell. The first two games, they kick butt. They look great. Okay. Then they lose to New England. All right. But then you could see that the personnel issues were coming to a head. Offensive line injuries didn't help. But you could tell this team was going through the motions. And then, you know, they were a mediocre team, and they played mediocre. And then once once the idea was, hey, we're not going to make the playoffs, they just started tanking. Simple as that. So, all right. Next game, Atlanta coming off a very impressive win, knocking off the undefeated Carolina Panthers. 72 Dolphins say thank you, Atlanta. Going up against New Orleans. Could be the last game for Sean Payton. Could possibly be the last game for Drew Brees, maybe, although I don't think that's going to happen. But I like Atlanta. I think that win gave them some confidence. They're playing at home. I think they want to end the season on a good note. I think if they win, they finish at 500. At least, I think, maybe 8-8, 9-7. But I think this is a game that they definitely want. And I think they still have an outside shot for the last NFC playoff spot.
If they win and get some help.
Yeah, they need some help. So I think they're going to win this game over New Orleans. And it's going to be a close one, but I like Atlanta in this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Atlanta too. After that game against Carolina, Atlanta looked really good earlier in the season, and then they just hit the skids there. But they came back with a nice win over the Panthers last week. Kind of a defensive game.
Yeah.
I think New Orleans obviously weak on defense. Offense is still worth watching, but I think Atlanta. I believe they're at home for this, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I think they'll take care of business at home.
Next game, and speaking of swan songs, Tom Coughlin, New York Giants, they are hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. They just fired Chip Kelly, so a lot of transitioning in this game. You would think that the Eagles are going to play better since Kelly is gone. That I think these guys did not like playing for him. It's kind of sad that players now in the NFL feel that if they want to get somebody fired, they just lay down and that's it. The Giants, I like the Giants in this game. I think that the Giants are going to play hard for Tom Coughlin. What could be his last game. I think last week's game left a bad taste in their mouths. I think they have the talent to beat Philadelphia. This is an even game, I think, when you come to personnel. So I'm going with the home team. Tom Coughlin's farewell. I'm going with the Giants.
Yeah, I'm taking the Giants too. The Eagles, what happened this week with them, Chip Kelly getting out of town. I'm sure some players will be happy about that, if not the whole team. But, I think the Giants, with all of the circumstances here, the fact that they, really kind of tanked down the stretch and, really lost a lot of games that they should have won this year, the Coughlin factor, Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, I think they'll light up the Eagles.
Next game. This is the battle for the NFC North title. Minnesota at Green Bay. Boy, Green Bay, talk about coming off a clunker. Holy moly. They just got shellacked at Arizona. Nobody saw that coming.
No.
They get beat that bad. And Green Bay, again, there's a team that I think a lot of pride. I think Aaron Rodgers, very upset after last week's performance. They're playing at home. Minnesota, not as talented, I think, on paper as Green Bay. Okay? So it's going to be a close game. I like the Packers to win a close one, win the NFC North. I'm going with Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers too. I think Rodgers will bounce back. He had a pretty rough outing against the Cardinals there. Don't sleep on the Vikings, though.
No, I think this is going to be a close game.
That game against the Giants, you saw how complete this team is. I mean, on offense, Bridgewater is steady. They have Peterson on defense. With Mike Zimmer's coaching, that defense is solid. And special teams, can't overlook special teams. Good unit there. So I think the Packers will win, but I think in the playoffs, I think the Vikings are the team that's better equipped to compete. In that
Running game in cold weather always helps.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last game, speaking of Arizona, they are hosting Seattle. Both teams are in the playoffs. Arizona, I believe, is clinched. No, they've got the number 2 seed wrapped up, I think, right?
Yeah, they have a bye wrapped up.
Right.
They can get the number 1 if the Panthers lose and then they win.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. The Panthers are playing Tampa Bay. That's not going to happen. So I think Arizona, I think this is a team that I think they're going to play their starters for a while. It's going to be a close game. There's not really a lot on the line here. Arizona's the home team. The spread is actually gone. That for Arizona was a 2-point underdog. Now they're a 6.5-point favorite. So I'm going to go with Arizona. I think they're going to want to carry momentum into the playoffs. They're going to win over Seattle.
Yeah. I think knowing that they have that break, they'll send their guys out there, and I think they'll win this game. Seattle should be competitive, but I think the way the Cardinals are playing these days, wow. What a team to watch, and I think they'll be tough to beat.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun playoff. So this is it, folks. End of the regular season. Next week it'll be just 4 playoff games.
Playoffs.
I know. I love that. And there will be no more Dolphins and Bills picks. Although I think we discussed we're going to do a postmortem on our teams. What went wrong? Not just like the what's that went wrong. Because it was more than just one thing for each team.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, folks, enjoy the last games of the regular season. Have a happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.